I've been here for a while, but can you feel it now? Beneath the surface, every subreddit, every content creator, every video, one by one people slowly changing their minds. The pull of the community, the yearning and longing for, well, for something. In 2020 we were left alone for 2 years while the developers tried their hand at making a game which has already failed. Project Titan and Overwatch PvE were one and the same, made not for the consumers but for the developers who had accidentally found success in a genre they didn't want to create. Now that the game was in roll queue, the imbalance that had never been addressed since launch mattered in a way it didn't before. The launch had only 5 tanks and 13 DPS, and most releases have been underwhelming at best. Tanks were once again needlessly left in the most boring gameplay loop in the game's history. Band-aid fixes like the priority pass further reduced the match quality by all but forcing players to ruin what little tank experience there was left by playing hog for passes and stomping the lobbies. And what else could happen other than queue time for DPS and support players increasing every week? But people clung on. After all, one day our beloved game will return to us with all the content, communication and joy we once lost. And then it dropped. The PvE project was another failure brought about by the hubris of the developers trying once again to create something too large to handle. It was proved as always that the worst thing for a game isn't bad reviews, but the killing of hope. But content creators were gathered, a format swap to 5v5, promises of communication, reworks, heroes, game modes balance, attention for the game we'd loved for so many years. But under the surface there was always a rot people struggled to put their finger on. The game was better, right? After all the jank was removed, all the streamlining complete, every projectile sped up and splash damage reduced, after the level 3 turrets, the shield generators and the 2 CP were removed. Just like promised, there were fewer outliers, fewer problematic heroes, more balance, and a better, more focused gameplay experience, right? But the removal of off-tanks universally changed the playing field. Gone was a player on the team that filled in for other weaknesses. The new solo tank experience not only removed all meaningful frontline resource trade, but the condensing of the tank health bars and the increased lethality of the new solo tanks made it so unless you swap heroes to counter them, you were at the mercy of being instantly killed by an unstoppable machine. The player base caught on, and before long, every tank hero was being counter-swapped by the entire lobby. The gameplay devolved into a rock, paper, scissors, where there was only one rule. You aren't ever allowed to play the character you want to play. The new format made the old gameplay about routing and breaking positions obsolete. Stability had to be removed from the game, and every viable character had to have massive mobility creep. Sojourn and Kiriko were introduced with the best mobility the game had ever seen. Lucio became mandatory in every comp and the game sped up, devolving almost exclusively into dueling on the flanks. All tank characters without meaningful mitigation, all supports without substantial dueling potential, and all DPS characters who struggled in duels suddenly were made completely unhealthy. Widowmaker, Thara, Junkrat, Reaper, Sombra, Roadhog, Orisa, Zarya, D.Va, all characters who worked in the 6v6 format now need significant changes and additions to their kit to work in 5v5. Every character release gets more complicated every day. Before, simple kits interacted together within a team to produce deep and interesting gameplay and strategy, but now we have overcomplicated, overladen kits with extra passive to try and imitate a fraction of what was removed. These issues with the tank experience may not be unsolvable, but every problem demands more and more reworks and development time for a game that was already functioning perfectly well before the devs made their own jobs harder. Blizzard had 2 years to fix these problems, and I ask you, is Roadhog's Pigpen enough? Is Orisa's new kit enough? Has any significant headway been made whatsoever since Overwatch 2's announcement to fix the clear and obvious problems the format brings to the game? We lose more tank players with each patch, and the queue time for supports and DPS get longer. We're careering towards a slow heat death and demise of the game, and we can't stop the momentum. We can't stop moving forward down a track laid by a ghoul milking the company we love for money. Remove the Overwatch 2 branding. There is no positive meaning, there's no love for it, the two existed only to inflate the size of Bobby's golden parachute. The only true solution to any of this is to move forward by correcting the worst misstep in the history of the game, in the destruction of Overwatch 1 and the removal of 6v6. I ask you not to abide by the terrible experience created by solo tanking any longer, to not allow Blizzard to treat your role solely as a necessary evil and sacrifice so that other players can have fun. Stop queuing for tank. Force a developer's hand. Accelerate the demise of Overwatch 2 so that like a phoenix from the ashes, Overwatch can be reborn. What the hell? Just tankiness? You're increasing tankiness? Like, what? God, you have no idea how to fix this. How does this happen? How do you end up thinking that tankiness is the problem? Just the amount of desperate Tennessee issue? Like, what? What? Hey guys, we're here to do the director's take on 6v6. Yeah, queue types would be bad. We don't want to talk about it anymore. Bye. 6v6 pugs running on my Discord server, 4 PM BST every single Sunday. All you have to do is turn up and put your details in the Discord. See you there.